ears.
Thursday will be a stormy day, cloudy, windy, and warm with periods of rain and some strong thunderstorms. Any thunderstorm can produce flooding downpours and damaging wind gusts, highs in the 70s to near 80. Mostly cloudy and breezy Thursday night with a couple of showers, perhaps even a thunderstorm early, lows in the upper 50s to mid-60s. For Friday, clouds breaking for some sun, windy and cooler, still a passing shower, temperatures only in the 60s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. A 29-year-old Orange County man killed his wife and left her body for their 4 children to find when they woke up. 9 people have been arrested on multiple charges, including animal cruelty after luring bears with donuts and then unleashing packs of dogs to attack the bears. Hollywood, Florida officials have approved a $750,000 settlement for the family of a man who died after being stunned multiple times by police. Authorities say a woman and her adult daughter tried to deliver tobacco and cell phones to a Martin County prison inmate with a remote-controlled drone. Officers with the Ocala Police Department got into the holiday spirit recently through random acts of kindness in their annual Operation Secret Santa. Police officers gave $100 bills to residents throughout the city. In total, the agency distributed $5,200. And Universal Studios Florida is offering a brand new experience this holiday season. It is a holiday viewing and dessert party, and it runs through December 30th. And that is your news brief from The Source.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Well, it's a rainy day. I'm not going to say it's a nice day. It's not really that nice. It's rainy, right? Mm-hmm. Rainy can be nice, though, right?
Yeah.
So my wallet is a little bit lighter. I don't know if you know. Not because I spent money.
Oh.
But because I tore up my man card.
No.
Yeah. Last time we spoke to David Allen Arnold.
Uh-huh.
I sat for about a half hour at my desk, and I thought, I am not a man. This is a man. I have done nothing. I don't deserve this card, and I had to pull. And I just paid $10 for that stupid thing.
Oh, gee.
I fell for that little thing. David Allen Arnold has been with us before. If you heard the last interview, you know that this guy has had some amazing experiences. He took on the bad guys in his town.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way. He's let me give you some of his credentials. An airborne cinematographer. He flies around the world for movies like James Bond. He is James Bond. He does TV shows like The Deadliest Catch, the World Series, the Super Bowl. He's the guy up over the clouds, right?
Yeah, he is.
But more important than that is some of the other stuff he's done in his town. And the book is called What Lies Above the Clouds. It is a true crime story. The FBI wanted to read it first before it was published. Mm-hmm. Right? Am I remembering right from my notes?
Yes.
This is his memoir. And guys, if you have a man card, you're not going to keep it after this. You're going to see, you know what? I'm just not going to be able to keep that card. David, it's an honor to have you back on our show. Good morning, sir.
Larry and Robin, God bless you guys. I love talking to you.
Yeah, we love talking to you too. But my wallet is a little thinner. It's a little easier now.
Oh, come on!
Carry around.
Come on. we're gonna reissue your card.
I won't be able to. Okay. Here's what you need to do. You need to recruit me to take care of that organized crime ring in your town at the bus stop. and maybe then I can get my card back. So how are you?
Well, you're very blessed, thank you. And I'm alive, so that's kind of my standard for how things are going. And yeah, I think that a lot of people, I hope, will sign up to help rid our community of this organized crime ring. And that sounds like a difficult challenge, but really all it is to do what you guys are doing, which is to just start to talk about the story of what happened at the school bus stop in Sky Forest.
Well, that's what I want you to tell. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Los Angeles today.
Oh.
I have yeah, it's sunny here. I'm sorry to hear that it's raining in the Sunshine State.
I know. I like to rub it in, but even if you were in LA when it was a good day here, it's still kind of it's a beautiful town you live in. I love LA too. So, but I like New York too.
Well,
I'm a 3-place man.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh.
Oh, that's good. Well, Well, you have the best of both worlds, and I'll tell you this: the water in Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, for example, is so much warmer than the ocean water here. You guys really do have it made in some key ways.
Oh, I never knew that.
That still doesn't earn me a man card, by the way. Just
we're going to get that back for you, I guarantee.
So tell me about the story and in the book, and how does writing this memoir help with your cause? I'm just wondering if it does.
Well, it's been a very interesting 5 years. And the one thing I can say about myself is I probably have the crazy man card in my neighborhood. And what happened was an organized crime ring moved in and took over the school bus stop. And when I found this out, I immediately took action. And the first thing I did was gather all of my neighbors together to talk about what this was, the dangerous criminal activity that was happening at the school bus stop, and what we could all do to help and notify the authorities and get this cleaned up and basically get the school bus stop made safe again from these criminals.
David, what the listeners are probably going to need explained is how does anybody take over a bus stop? And the other part is, why would anybody take over a bus stop?
Yeah, that's I guess, when you read the book, What Lies Above the Clouds, you'll get to see the day-by-day experience of this and what happened and how all of this was revealed to me and my neighbors. And it started with weekly meetings. So I gathered everyone. We would share information. We would talk about what we had witnessed at the school bus stop. And we would talk about getting, first of all, the authorities to come in, shut down the illegal business, and get those criminals away from the kids.
How old are the kids?
Well, there are 6 times a day that kids are at the school bus stop, and that's basically from kindergarten through high school.
Okay,
so it's all ages.
If I'm going to guess what happens, the crime ring is selling drugs to the older kids?
Well, they did a lot of stuff, and I think my book will begin the process of us to find out, what happened, because I certainly detailed the crimes that I witnessed,
I know,
including murder. And,
wow,
that's horrible.
And I'll tell you what the FBI said when they looked at what was on my hard drives. They basically leaned back in their chair and let out a huge labored breath and said, "How can it be this illegal for that long?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who did they point to blame that on?
Well, I don't know. They didn't, they don't keep me apprised of what they're doing. But what I told them in the meeting was, I said, look, I only have really one wish here, is that you guys get to know about this before the book goes published. And so that happened. What they do next, I think, is up to them. And I hope that public response to this criminal activity at the school bus stop will cause more and more and more law enforcement scrutiny
of
what went on. What went on? Who was at the school bus stop? Who allowed this for 5 years? And exactly what the FBI said is, why was it allowed to be this illegal at a children's school bus stop for that long?
It's crazy. Tell us where the bus stop is. What state? What city?
It's in Sky Forest, California, which is in the mountains above Los Angeles.
And if the organized crime unit was targeting the kids at a school bus stop, that to me would mean they were targeting other school bus stops also.
They were, in fact. I tell the story in the book of another school bus stop that I found that the same crime ring had moved into. And this is a nightmare on both school bus stops. An absolute nightmare. And what I discovered was that in both neighborhoods, the grown-ups in the neighborhood feared to walk near the school bus stop. And that's how bad it got. So crazy. And it didn't take long.
So do you think, because it's been going on for 5 years, do you and the FBI think that some of the law enforcement officers in that area are really paid off by the bad guys so they could do this illegal activity?
That's a great question. And it's one of many questions that I would love answered. I can tell you that I personally witnessed the sheriffs committing crimes right in front of us. I watched them do it. And in documenting that through this series of books, I think people are going to be shocked. Exactly like the FBI was. The FBI agents just about fell out of their chairs when they saw what was in my documentation. And a lot of this is government records. It's photographs. It's film footage. We were filming when we found one of the bodies, or one of the victims, hidden behind the school bus stop.
How old?
He was 21 years old.
Oh my gosh! So
he had been missing for 8 months.
Oh my gosh! Can I tell you something? Yesterday, in our news here in Central Florida, in Orlando, there was a 15-year-old boy shot and killed walking to school.
Right.
And nobody seems to know what happened. There was no witnesses, but all I can think of is maybe it was something similar to what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, it's exactly what you just said. If a kid is harmed or hurt or killed while walking to school, we all want to know what in the hell just happened.
Right.
Why did this terrible thing happen to this young person who was going to what should be a safe place?
Right.
And that's the issue that went on in my town for 5 years. And I documented everything that I saw, all of the photographs and video footage that eyewitnesses gave me. I interviewed over this period of time witness after witness to every form of crime, including murder. And that's all in the book. And what's coming next is a documentary, because those stories were also filmed. And so there will be a documentary series probably coming to Netflix. And I really hope that people take the time to just sort of read my side of the story as kind of adventurous and a little bit crazy. But, it's an interesting tale to just see, I don't think anyone's ever done this before, where they just walked over from the house next door and entered into an organized crime ring and asked the guys that were all standing around there with guns and knives, what are you guys doing?
What did they tell you?
It's very entertaining, actually. And what I learned was really unexpected. Number one, I never backed down from those guys. And so within 6 months, I was the only one left complaining about them publicly.
Did they threaten you?
Which is what they wanted.
Did they threaten?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so what I found was, and this I did not expect, I would set my watch when the school bus was there at the school bus stop, and I would walk over and I would stand across the street and just keep an eye on the kids and make sure nothing bad happened. Kind of like your 15-year-old example. I just want to make sure that if there's a 15-year-old standing at the school bus stop, that he safely waits for the bus and gets on the bus and gets safely to school.
Right.
Well, these gangsters would come out of that building like a heat-seeking missile. And
wow.
I guess, if you're a gangster, that's what you do. You just fight. And so what I did was not really a logical response. It wasn't a thinking thing. I just had an emotional response to it, which was just very primal. You know what? There's children standing in front of your building, and whatever you're up to, I don't care, but I'm not moving. And so they would come charging at me like a heat-seeking missile.
Wow.
And I wouldn't move. And what I found was really unexpected is because I didn't answer their aggression with aggression and their violence with violence, it made them uncomfortable. They were a little confused, and they weren't sure how to handle me. And I would say, good morning, come here, come talk to me. Who are you? What's your name?
They wanted to fight, and you wouldn't give it to them.
Well, I treated them like humans. And so if someone came out, looking to swing, I would call them to me. Come here, come talk to me. I can't hear you. I can come closer. And I would say, what's your name? Who are you? What do you guys do in that building?
Like Jesus Christ. That's what he would do.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know, but it scared them. And I didn't expect that. I figured it would just be World War III. But what I found was, because I didn't move, because I stood my ground, and because I was kind and polite to them, they were really thrown off of their game. They didn't know what to do. And so they would stop in their tracks. And one of them one day when we were having this conversation said, no, you come over here, talk to me. I said, okay, I'll be right there. And I walked across the street. I stood right in front of him. I said, hey, what's up? How's it going? What's your name? And he goes, well, you're harassing me. And as he's talking, he's backing away from me towards their building.
Well, you are a perfect example of how we need to handle bullies. That's the great lesson you're telling us right now. And what is your personal connection? Did you have a child at the school bus?
Well, I was raising, at that time, my preschool-age son.
Oh, my gosh.
In the neighborhood. And so that was the quandary that I ran into, because everyone immediately, once they found out who these guys were and what they were doing and how illegal it was and how much money they were making, everyone backed away. They just quit coming to meetings, quit going to public protests, and now it's just me. And it was just a very weird situation. And it was something that I had to solve because my son is growing up in this town.
Right.
I get everything that everyone told me. These guys are gangsters. Don't mess with them. Don't go near them. They'll just kill you. And I accept that. Except I have to make the town safe for my son to walk around in. Like, I have no other choice.
Absolutely.
I have to do this. And so I definitely took steps to protect him, but I never stopped fighting back against these gangsters. And that's what turned into this book, What Lies Above the Clouds.
So I'm imagining the area you're talking about is considered rural, even though it's outside of Los Angeles. Is it rural?
Yeah, it's magically rural. It is actually the headwaters of Lake Arrowhead bottled water. So if you've ever seen in the store or in your refrigerator a bottle of Lake Arrowhead bottled water, this is where the water comes from.
So just speaking of some of the problems that urban areas in our country have with crime, it seems like the decisions that are made by elected officials that actually make a difference in solving some of the crime areas or fixing some of the crime areas also have to happen in conjunction with the public playing a role, almost like vigilantes. Did that not happen where you are? I mean, could you not get the local officials to say, look, the police force is doing this, but we need some other people like David Allen Arnold to be out there standing up to these guys? We need the public to participate.
Well, what I found was the opposite. In fact, some of the victims told me, I would say within the first year, some of the victims of the crime ring told me, they said, we think the sheriffs are participating in these crimes, including murder. And I said, well, I understand you guys are emotional and you're upset, but I can't believe that my sheriffs would ever do stuff like that. But what I found over time was that they were exactly right, and that they were saying that for a reason. The stuff that they had witnessed is unmistakable. And that's all documented in the book. The curious things that the sheriffs did to cover up the crimes at these school bus stops included murder. And
that is crazy. So, okay, murder doesn't really serve the criminal. So that crime right there, obviously being the worst crime, but the victims who are not murdered are probably being extorted or have money taken from them in some way. Is that the typical crime besides murder? What were they stealing from them? And these are students. How much money do they have?
I tell the story in the book, and we filmed this for the documentary. One of the victims was found hiding in the bushes near one of my neighbor's homes. And so my neighbor turned on, God bless her, she turned on her iPhone and filmed this kid who was also probably about 21, and he was hiding. And she said, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I'm hiding from the gangsters. And so she said, well, how did you get here? And he said, well, they kept me in that place for over 100 days. I just escaped.
Whoa.
Wow.
And what were, wow. And what were they victimizing him?
In his case, what they were doing was, and this was what was kind of fascinating, and I showed this footage to the FBI. This guy did not know what day it was. He did not know what week it was.
Right.
He didn't know. He actually didn't know what month it was.
But I mean, what did he do for 100 days?
Well, what he knew was how much they were billing his health insurance company every single day. And when I add those figures together, what I discovered was that this business, by their own statement, was making over $100 million a year illegally.
I'm guessing the book explains the things I have questions about. But how could you bill an insurance company and at the same time not have a family wondering, where's my loved one?
It basically, as I explained to the FBI, it is every form of crime that we have laws for. I witnessed it. My neighbors saw it. The victims of the crime ring saw it. The people who worked there, I actually worked with a lot of them to try and set this right. And they would tell me day by day what they were doing, which included heroin sales.
Okay, but getting back to the 100-day guy, I mean, he was gone for 100 days. Wasn't somebody? How old was he?
He was. I'm guessing he was early 20s, maybe.
And nobody was missing him?
No, and in fact, what these guys would do, one of their facades of their business was a drug rehab. And so they had a beautiful website and a 1-800 number you could call, and it just sounded magical and warm and loving. It looked like Betty Ford. But when people got there, what they found out was that it was run by gangsters, and these guys are killers.
I see.
And they would were so many of them that would check in to get off of pain medication or heroin or crystal meth, whatever they were addicted to. And they would find out after they had given up their wallets, their cell phones, their IDs, their house keys. What they would find out is that the place was run by gangsters. It wasn't a real medical facility. And then they couldn't get out. And what I found was when victims of the drug rehab, when their families would call to ask about their loved ones who are being treated, the gangsters would tell them, "Oh no, don't talk to them. If you talk to them, you're going to jeopardize their sobriety." And so what they would do is they would entrap these, just like this kid. They would entrap them for days and weeks and months on end while billing their health insurance company for legitimate rehab, and while delivering basically a criminal prison camp that they were not allowed to leave. They not allowed to contact their family, and their families had all been told not to talk to them if they did.
So before we run out of time, this is part 2 to Help from Above, but it's a standalone also, right?
Yeah, this is the second book, and there's a third book coming because. I mean, when we found the body of one of their victims murdered behind the school bus stop, that was really the beginning. And things got even stranger from there. And so all of those stories will be in the third book, which comes out next year.
The cover looks like you holding the hand of a young boy. Is that young boy your son?
That is. That's my little one.
All right.
And he was definitely... I definitely worried about him during those years, how I was going to protect him from all of this crime and criminal behavior and corruption.
Yeah.
And somehow we got through it, and I don't think it's an accident, and I think that's why the producer of our documentary suggested that the series of books be called Help from Above.
On David's Amazon page, you can see some of the videos, and of course you can get both of the books we just referenced. David Alan Arnold, thank you so much for being on the air with us. Thank you for what you do. I still don't earn a man card. I still need to get a new one. Thank you, David. Have a great Christmas.
God bless you guys. Merry Christmas, and I hope it stops raining down in the Sunshine State.
We'll be right back.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump says his decision to pull troops out of Syria is no surprise, and some